Hello, my name is Krista Juliano, and this is my dog Richard. This is my social responsibility video project for MBA 710 for fall of 2016. Looks like he doesn't want to be in the video. And he's staring at me right now. He's here for support. Anyway, so my career progression, I guess, is to start from the beginning. I graduated from Eastern Connecticut State University in May 2011. I got a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. And since then, right out of college, I was lucky enough to work at Cohn-Resnick, which is a CPA firm in Glastonbury, Connecticut, which was great because I was working in something I went to school for. So I worked there for 2 years as an external staff auditor, and pretty much I performed like financial statement audits. My main clients were in the industries of foreign manufacturing, aerospace, digital media, schools, pension plans, nonprofit organizations, stuff like that. I had a very wide variety of industries to look at. As a staff, you're primarily responsible for just doing the work, not really delegating anything or running jobs, but I did have the opportunity to run one job, which helped me demonstrate leadership skills. It was a very small pension plan audit. I learned a lot, given the fact that I was new to the workforce and this was the first job I was running. From that experience, things I wish I knew in college while working at Cohn-Resnick was just very good. Being very skillful at Excel, being able to organize a large amount of data and present it in a very clear and concise manner was definitely something I wish I was more knowledgeable of, but through working at Cohn-Resnick, that is definitely something I gained through the experience. I also learned a lot about time management skills. So while I was working at Cohn-Resnick, I had the lovely time of studying for the CPA exam. I passed, thank God, but it was very difficult for me to juggle time with work, especially during busy season, and studying and family and friends and life. So I really had to learn the best way to manage my time so I wouldn't go absolutely insane. So that's something I learned that I definitely have applied going forward, obviously, since I'm enrolled in the MBA program now and working. And I have a dog. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, another thing I learned was just having very strong organizational skills. When you are assisting or running on a job, if your manager wants to know this certain status of how a project is running, you have that information at your fingertips to communicate. So after working at a CPA firm for exactly 2 years, enough to meet that CPA requirement, I worked for 3 years as an internal auditor at the Hartford, and pretty much they're more operational type of audits, nothing really financially driven, which I like because you get to learn a lot about how the company operates and things like that. I was a staff auditor still, but you had a lot of opportunity to run jobs. So while I was at the Hartford, I ran 3, which helped me practice my leadership skills. So a lot of the audits that I ran were within like the claims and group benefits organization, and I ran one job, which was an IT audit, which was definitely something very new because I've never ran an IT audit before. Through that experience, I learned it's not really my cup of tea, but it was a very big job, and through that experience, I learned how to delegate tasks. So while working on the job, I had 2 people that were assisting me. So what I wish I learned in college was just how to be better at working with people. I felt like in college I was very strong with the knowledge and financial aspect of accounting, but I didn't realize that I initially thought being an accounting major and being an accountant, I would just be behind a cube all day and not really being very social, which is not the case at all, because you're working with people. You're working with a team of people every single day, and especially when you're running a job, you need to be able to communicate with those people like constantly and making sure they understand what they need to do and what they need to get done. So being able to delegate tasks, I think, was something that I learned through the experience. Especially with me, I'm the type of person where I just want to do everything by myself, but it's not really realistic because you're just overloaded with a bunch of work and you won't be able to sleep. So being able to delegate tasks and being able to communicate verbally in an effective manner so people understand what they're supposed to be doing is something that I learned through that experience. Also being able, if something within a project doesn't necessarily go as planned, if something needs more time, being able to catch that sooner rather than later and being able to have that uncomfortable conversation with your boss and to explain the situation in a very mature and professional manner is something that I think I mastered through the experience. And sometimes what's hard for me is like if something doesn't necessarily go as planned, it takes me a while to kind of explain to my boss and to back up why it didn't go as planned and what additional tasks we need to do. So flexibility, I think, is something that I wish I knew in college. Another thing that I learned through working at the Hartford is to be a good writer, which is kind of funny because when you're an accounting major, the reason I became an accounting major was because I was really good with numbers and the way I thought was very black and white. Writing was never really my strong point. I didn't really do that much writing in college. So specifically when I came to the Hartford, I did a lot of writing. I was very good with like number crunching and data analytics and stuff like that, but when it came to writing it, that was something that I had a very difficult time with. Writing clearly and concisely was something that I had a tough time with. So I think being able to master my writing skills was something I wish I was able to do better in college. Another thing I wish I knew in college was to just to always be confident whenever you're within internal audit, you're running meetings and you're meeting with big wigs, SVPs, VPs. You want to make sure that you're confident, you know your crap, you know what you're talking about, or else you're going to look stupid. So I think that just being confident in my ability and my knowledge and my experience and what I know and coming across that way, I think is something that I wish I mastered in college, because having confidence and coming across as someone, because in internal audit you make recommendations on how to improve how the organization is running, and if you don't sound like you know what you're talking about or sound confident, they're not really going to want to listen to you or see you as an advisor in one way. So I think confidence is something that's important. So I worked for the Hartford for 3 years, and actually this past August I started working at Webster Bank as a senior internal auditor. So as a senior, I'm responsible for managing multiple projects at one time, running jobs, providing feedback to staff. So that's pretty much my responsibilities. What I gained through that experience is I learned a lot about like a new industry. I've never been experienced to like the banking industry, even when I worked as an external auditor. So just being open to learn and being a sponge, I think, is something that's extremely important. So as far as social responsibility, what I think it means, I mean, how I thought about it was like, if you look at the two words, there's two pieces to it. So there's the social aspect, which primarily talks about just being able to work with people and being what's called people smart and knowing what people want, knowing what they expect, and being able to motivate them to achieve milestones, dates, and to complete their tasks in a timely manner. So being able to work with people is something that's an important piece of that. And then the other piece is just responsibility, taking ownership of the work that you're doing, taking ownership of the jobs that you're running. So when you combine the two, you are able to work with people to ensure they understand their expectations and get the work done that needs to be done, and recognizing that you are responsible for that. So that's what I think social responsibility means. Trying to think of what else. My dog is asleep right now. Advice to college students who are entering the workforce: stay there as long as you can. Just kidding. Seriously, it's there's no nap time or breaks in between summer and winter. Anyway, now what advice to students who are incoming freshmen, I would say just focus on just doing really, really well in school. Focus on right now. That's what I did. I was an athlete. I ran cross country at Eastern for 2 years, and I took a really hard major. So my focus during that period of time was to be really, really good at my sport and to just do really, really well in school. I was a nerd, but I think that if those two things weren't my focus, I wouldn't be where I am today. So just focusing on doing well in school, getting involved on campus, and being able to master your time management skills, I think is advice I would give to students. And also recognizing the importance of putting 120% into anything and everything that you do. In the corporate profession, that's really, really admired. So that's something else that I would recommend. Like I said, writing skills, mastering your writing skills, even if you're in the finance, business, or accounting major, that's still very important. And communication verbally as well as written is something that's really important. If there's a particular certification that's within your field that's offered and that's paid for, definitely go for it, because it's a resume builder, and it helps you stand out in front of other kids, especially now when it's not as easy to get a job as it was like 10 years ago. So any certification, any master's degree that you want to pursue, I would definitely pursue it now. And then the last thing I would say is, when it comes to finding jobs, it's good to, even as a freshman, I met with like career services just to learn about how to write a resume, what type of jobs I wanted to eventually do, if my major was aligned to what I wanted to do, and making sure that when you pick a career, making sure that you're passionate about it, that it's something that you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life, something that you can see yourself, working really, really long hours, or something like that, something that you're passionate about, I think is important. And then the last thing I would say is just balance. Like I mentioned before, time management and balance. One of the things that I thought I was really good at in college that carried forward when I was working at Resnick was being able to balance time with my friends and my family and work. So I think time management is important. The Kosis and Posner model. So during class we talked about the 5 pillars of the Kosis and Posner model. So model the way. I feel I demonstrate that through my positive attitude, motivating others to be positive, and to practice this on a daily basis is something that showed that. Share an inspired vision. That actually happened recently at Webster when I was responsible for kicking off a job and had to create a test plan approach, and making sure that everyone was on board with that approach is something that helped me share the vision. Challenging the process. Well, at the Hartford I did this a lot. I would always try to find ways to make testing more efficient and not as difficult to do. So I would, if my manager wanted to do something a certain way, I would always kind of think outside the box and suggest, well, why don't we do it this way? Enabling others to act. I mastered this at the Hartford, and I would be working long hours to get the IT audit job done. They saw that I was doing this and strived to do the same, and worked really, really hard to do so. And because through my positive attitude and stressing that we needed to get our work done, this motivated them to do the same. Encourage the heart. So I did this at the Hartford at the end of the IT audit. By the end, we were all working really, really long hours. It was a very difficult job. I was very thankful for the people that helped me out. So I actually got them little gifts, which made them, I think, feel good. It made them feel that like I was very appreciative. Sorry, that was my phone. I was very appreciative of the time that they spent helping me, and they felt that the time was worth it. So I'm at my 15 minutes, so I guess I'm all done. So that's the end of this video. Bye.